and welcome to Between the Lines. I'm your host, Leah Woodford, and with me today is Jim Phillips, author of The Key to Life, Living in Full Expression. Hey Jim, how are you?
I am well, thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So Jim, let's just talk, I'm going to jump right in. Let's talk about this book.
Okay.
What does The Key to Living Life in Full Expression, what is that?
Well, if you look at the word life, first and foremost, it's the acronym for living in full expression.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that's what life is all about. It's about each one of us getting to our own truth, living from that truth. And as you live as you live from your truth and as your truth, you're living in full expression. But it's an ongoing process. So it's not something that all of a sudden you just wake up and you're living from your truth, because we gain more and more the truth of who we are through every experience we have in life. In fact, every thought we have, every belief we have, every choice we make, which results in an experience, which gives us that opportunity.
Now, I noticed that it says ancient wisdom for a modern world. Can we talk about that a minute?
Sure. The reason that's on there is because I don't believe there's any new information.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that even what I have in my book and any other book that somebody picks up, it's just a repackaging of what's already been put out. Ideally, it's truthful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it the truth? I don't know, because I think that's what we're here to do, is to reveal to ourselves our personal truth, but also the truth. And I think that's what life's about. In fact, there's a quote that I was given, and I take my early morning walks, and I ask questions, and it's very dark out, and I just asked the question one time because I felt like what was happening in the world was so ridiculous. I don't get why humans do to each other what we do. I don't understand why there's countries where people are living in civil war constantly, and there's famine, and there's all the things that people have to experience. So I went out for a walk and I just said, what's this about? I said, to me, this makes no sense whatsoever. And the answer that I got was that the purpose of life, our reason for being here, is the progressive realization of the truth. And it's through all these experiences, all that we see that are happening with other people, it's our experience of those events that we see. And then also the experiences we create ourselves through our own choices. They give us the opportunity to learn more and more about ourselves. And it's always within the context of that particular experience. But then it's about living from that truth, recognizing that what we're gaining is for our own benefit, regardless of how the event may unfold. We can label it good, bad, stressful, terrible, whatever we want, but there's always that underlying benefit. And the benefit is gaining more and more knowledge of who we are, and then how we can live in this world.
Well, let's just talk about these for a second.
Okay.
How do you think these have affected the way we live and the way we think and the negativity and the distractions?
My first thought is, and especially if you look at social media,
Mm-hmm.
is that I seriously doubt most people would say what they say on social media face to face to somebody.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So first and foremost, people are hiding. The other thing I find discouraging is that people pass along information without reviewing the information to make sure that it's true and to make sure that it actually is in alignment with their beliefs. And people will send or will post things that are, you read the headline, it's a very catchy headline, and it could be something that is attractive to the person who receives it. But then you read the body of whatever the post may be, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with what the headline was. So what I find is that people are passing along information without reviewing it that has nothing to do with what they thought it did. And I mean, I've come to the point now where we hear the term fake news. Well, we're the greatest perpetuators of fake news.
Right.
We're the ones that put it out there. I mean, maybe the first person that puts it there, but then it gets sent out by everybody else. And I think it's terrible, because I don't think especially the younger generation now know how to communicate.
It's so true. So we're so connected and yet disconnected at the
Correct.
same time.
Yeah.
Now, what was your inspiration for the book?
I've been in the real estate business for a really long time, and I've been speaking and teaching within the real estate business, but I've always had a very spiritual slant to everything that I did. I can remember during my whole life, I was always thinking about what's life about? What am I here to do? What can I do? I've always had a sense that there was something I was supposed to do, some message I was supposed to deliver. And so I'll be writing down all kinds of notes, and I'll be getting some of the quotes that are in the book. I think there's 41 quotes in the book that I'm not going to say they're original, but they came to me during my morning walks. I just got to the point where there was so much information there that I felt like I had to put it together in some kind of a format. And it resulted in the book. And the title being The Key to Life, to me, it just meant that we are to better understand ourselves. And one of the quotes that and this was not my quote, but I think it's a really cool quote, that another reason we're here is to understand what's been misunderstood. And I think that is so powerful, because so much of what we believe is true is not true, or we've misunderstood what the truth of it was. And if we can go through our lives better understanding that, shedding the untruths that have been heaped upon us, and that we actually keep on ourselves. Nobody else, somebody can throw it at us, but we're the ones that hold on to it. We're the ones that keep it close to ourselves. And if we can become more aware of the fact that we're doing that, get to the point where we recognize what's true for us. And I say that intentionally because what's true for you may not be true for me, and it doesn't make it right or wrong. It just means that's your truth right now. Your truth could totally change tomorrow. Your truth can change today because of something that we say to one another during this conversation, just as mine can. And so the whole idea in the book is to get people to think. Really think for yourself. Question why you believe what you believe. Don't judge yourself on it, but really get down to, what's real for you. And then who are you? Who are you authentically in the course of life, and what you want to accomplish, what you want to experience, how you want to be remembered.
Let's talk about happiness. I'd love to hear your take, because happiness, everybody says they want it, but really, what is happiness and how can we become more happy?
The whole idea of happiness. Happiness is not an idea, it's a state of mind. It's a matter of just deciding to be happy. I was given some information one time, and it said that to experience and express joy in the face of adversity is to truly know God's love. And what that meant to me was that we are joy. What do people say when we come into the world? My bundle of joy. Now I joke and I say that's the last time most of us have been called that, but at the same time, that gets back to our essence of being love. Basically of love energy. And the whole idea with happiness is letting go of all those things that we hold on to that prevent us from having the experience of joy or having the experience of happiness. And when I say have joy in the face of adversity, it's not about being happy and excited and jumping up and down when you're going through a very difficult time, but it's understanding the underlying joy of everything that is, and realizing that everything that you experience in life, and I'm not going to say everything that happens to us, because it doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. And that's a very interesting and powerful distinction for people to make, is that when you are faced with something, understand that there's an underlying benefit for you. Somehow, some way you've called it to yourself, or you've been put in that particular situation because it's going to help you better understand who you are, or understand what's been misunderstood to that point.
So important. I'm going to switch gears. Let's talk about, you're a movie star. Let's talk about this upcoming movie.
Yeah, it was another one of those interesting things that just came. I had no intention of being in a movie, but I'm part of a Facebook group, and a lady that was in the Facebook group had produced 2 movies, and she was her second movie was getting picked up by a major distribution company, but she needed more reviews. And so she put out a post asking people to review her movie. So I jumped on that and I reviewed her movie. And her movie was very much in alignment with my book and other work that I've done. So I gave her a review and I commented on the fact that my book was very much like what her movies were about, and that I really enjoyed and appreciated it. 2 days later, she called me up and said, I reviewed your book, I reviewed all your information, I'm making another movie, would you like to be in it?
Wow.
So that was how that all came to be.
Wow. Now, what's the name of the movie?
It's called Becoming the Keys, and it's actually the third in the trilogy, and it's got some really cool people. It's got Brian Tracy's in it, who a lot of people in the business world know who he is. Dr. Joe Vitale is in it. He was in The Secret. Mm-hmm. A very interesting gentleman by the name of Daniel Brinkley is in it. Okay. And he has sold 35 million copies of his book. Mm-hmm. And his book is called Saved by the Light. He was struck by lightning at the age 25. And it for me and my generation, it's what your mom tells you not to do. Don't be on the phone during a thunderstorm. He was on the phone during a thunderstorm. Lightning came down the phone line. Wow. And he said it blew him up in the air. He was basically on his ceiling looking down at his shoes that were smoking. He died, and I think he was dead 28 minutes, which is crazy to think that he was out that long. Crossed over, brought back a lot of information, and he has since died 5 times. I mean, it's just wild. So he's another person that's in the movie. So the whole movie really is about looking at all the different things that people have experienced in life and how they've overcome them. It's not a movie for anybody to feel sorry for anybody, because we all have our stuff that we're going through, but it's really to show that regardless of what life puts in front of us, we're always capable of overcoming it. And I think most people have heard that God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. Well, I take it a little bit further than that, and I say there isn't anything we can't handle. So when we look at somebody who's gone through something that we don't understand, I don't know how you could have possibly done that. Well, here's the truth. You didn't know how you were going to get through it either. When anybody is faced with a really challenging situation, we don't know how we're going to get through it, but we do. And as cliche as it is, it's the one step at a time. It's looking for whatever benefit you can and moving through it with as much grace as we possibly can.
I love that word, grace.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because right now it feels like there's just a lot of anger and negativity in the world. And how can one protect themselves from becoming part of the problem?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's getting off social media to a certain extent. I'm not saying stop it, because there's a lot of really good information that gets shared. But I think it's not paying attention and getting involved in all the negativity. And here, part of the challenge with that, and this is more from a spiritual perspective, is if we see something we don't like that's on social media, that's against what our values might be, or we see somebody being attacked or whatever the case may be, if we engage in it, even in fearful thought or anything like, we're putting energy to it. And we have to understand that regardless of what we do, we're contributing to whatever it is that's being put out there. So first and foremost, if we can limit the amount of time we're exposed to it, that's going to help. But then when we see it, if we can look at, okay, well, I'm not going to share this, that this isn't true, this is not something I want to be a part of, and then you don't think about it, then you're not contributing to that energy. Then if you think about the beneficial and positive and beautiful things of life, that's the energy you're now putting out, and that contributes to that part of it. And there's a tipping point eventually. I think, unfortunately, the tipping point that we're at now is more on the negative side. But I think that more and more people are awakening to the fact that they do have something to say, something positive. I think more and more people understand that they can contribute to the world becoming a better place. It's not about creating a cure for cancer. It's about being a good person and honoring. Yeah,
It's so simple.
It is.
It's simple. Jim, where can our viewing audience get your fabulous book?
Well, two ways. You can get it through Amazon.com. In the United States, if somebody wants a signed copy, they can get it from me. And I say in the United States because shipping costs outside the U.S. are ridiculous. And
they are.
So if somebody wants a signed copy, they can get on my website at livinginfullexpression.com. And then otherwise, they can get it on Amazon and also barnesandnoble.com.
Thank you so much. This has been fun.
My pleasure.
This has been Leah Woodford with Between the Lines. Thanks for watching.